We have majority of the House and the Senate, and during the election in 2008, Democrats talked about health care reform with a public option. Seeing that the polls running up into August, wide range support for a public option.
Still is.
Still is.
Yeah.
Why did we just lose the message, and why did Democrats allow this rapid misinformation from like socialized medicine, federal funded abortions, health care funding for illegal immigrants? How did the Democrats allow this, and in the Congress allow this misinformation to happen to a point where there's people having doubt about health care, while not right at the point where we're talking about no public option, but it's still a majority of people still want a public option?
Well, I suspect for some long time to come, people will go back and review the history of these last few weeks as to how we got here. So making a judgment about how this happened is, I'll admit, I'm giving you sort of almost a visceral reaction to what's happened rather than knowing all the details. Again, going back to the point I made earlier, there are moments you're given, and you either get things done. I can be patient. I was patient. Many of my colleagues thought too patient, but I decided I didn't want to give them the argument of saying you didn't get a chance to be heard. But you have to move. and let me say something that's anathema to a lot of people. I welcome partisanship. The reason we exist as a country today is because partisanship. There's nothing wrong with partisanship. Civility is a legitimate issue. And the absence of civility is bothersome to me and outrageous, and I would defend with my right, with my life rather, the right of people to get up and have abusive signs and other things they show up. That's their right. I would never, as much as it may hurt personally to have seen some of the stuff, I would defend them with my life to be able to do so. But having a partisan debate, that's how we exist. We exist because there was a partisan debate. There wasn't one view on how this was going to work. So this notion of bipartisanship, while it's certainly a means to an end and can help you, and I don't deny that when you can get it, it's not an end in itself. And when you end up becoming preoccupied with that as your goal, then both substance fails and politics fails. And both failed in this case because there was a preoccupation with that goal. And bipartisanship can occur any way in a process. I've been around this to watch it. Sometimes you get bipartisanship when you introduce your bill. It's such a good idea, everyone wants to be a part of it. And that's a great moment. Never after much of a battle, everyone agrees it's a great idea. Sometimes bipartisanship occurs in the subcommittee level. Sometimes in the full committee level. Sometimes it doesn't occur until you get to the final step in a project. Sometimes never. But this idea that you had to achieve it at the get-go on this thing is I think, was a huge mistake. Now, this is again acquired skills. I can tell when I sit down. I presume many of you can as well.